Hello and welcome to another show. Today I want to discuss Captain America, Anthony Mackie versus Chris Evans, or Sam Wilson versus Steve Rodgers.
The last time I was in Germany and saw a man standing above everybody else, we ended up disagreeing.
You're not Steve Rodgers.
You're right. I'm not.
First, I am of the conviction that Steve Rodgers is Captain America and Sam Wilson is the Falcon. I don't like them swapping one for the other. Now, I have no problem with more than one Captain America. Like when they wanted to do an African American Green Lantern, they didn't turn Hal Jordan black, they created John Stewart. Plus, there are other Green Lanterns because it's a Green Lantern Corps. People like Guy Gardner are also Green Lantern. But when they wanted an African American Spider Man, they didn't turn Peter Parker black, they created Miles Morales. And I have no problem with those characters, as long as they're not meant to replace the characters I grew up with. The universe is big enough. In the case of Sam Wilson, however, they did replace Steve Rogers with him as they left him as an old man in the last Avengers movie, signaling that he would not be back in the next Captain America movie. Also, Sam Wilson was already established as the Falcon. Now, what's wrong with a Falcon standalone movie? I'd be way on board with that. Now, they have a new character as Falcon. I'm not on board with that. However, that isn't going to make me dislike the movie. I like Anthony Mackie. I think he's a good actor and carries this film well. The film has its problems, but Mackie does a good job with what he's been given to work with. I have not seen the TV series, so I don't know about these other secondary characters. What I saw in the movies, they seemed fine. I liked what I saw. But I have no comment because I don't know how they progressed from the TV series to this film. And I enjoyed the film to a certain extent. It obviously has its problems, and you can see where they did reshoots, and some of the continuities is lacking in coherency. Harrison Ford, whom I usually love, seems to not be as involved in the character of Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross as William Hurt was. He doesn't do a bad job necessarily, but he's not as memorable in this role. So here's the dilemma. Should Sam Wilson remain Captain America after this film? What did they do in the comic books? Just a few years after Wilson became the all-new Captain America in the pages of Marvel Comics, Steve Rogers would return to his shield-slinging duties once more. When you consider this story and similar storylines for the likes of Batman, Spider-Man, and Green Lantern, among others, plus the fact that Sam Wilson's Captain America comics did not sell that well. Now, Marvel knew these Sam Wilson Captain America comics weren't going to sell as well as Steve Rogers, and they prolonged it. Why? Because they knew that when they brought Steve Rogers back, the comics would soar in sales. So they did this on purpose. That's why it's understandable that there are rumors about Chris Evans returning as Steve Rogers. The original always comes back. So is Anthony Mackie's red, white, and blue position in danger, or is the MCU's permanent Captain America? Mackie said in an interview that he hopes he's the permanent Captain America ahead of Brave New World. I don't know. I think when you look at Sam Wilson, I guess the lifespan of him being Captain America goes with how well the movie does. So go see the movie, he said. Now, if I'm going to rank this movie, I'd give it about 2.5 stars out of 4. I would have been more on board if this were a Falcon standalone movie rather than a Captain America movie without Steve Rogers. But it isn't as bad as some of the more recent MCU offerings. It does have decent pacing overall. And the action scenes are pretty well executed. And of course, the box office for this new movie isn't doing as well as it needs to do to warrant a sequel. It isn't doing as bad as other MCU films, as we said, but it's on track to do less than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was a box office disappointment and flopped financially. And it's not just because the character of Steve Rogers isn't in the film. The script simply isn't as good as the first 3 Captain America movies. Those films had a clear direction to where they were going and were planned out to grow over the run of the trilogy, whereas this film seems to be thrown together haphazardly. Yes, it is fun to watch in a lot of ways, but it doesn't offer the vision of the previous Captain America movies. That's why it isn't going to the box office of other films, and ultimately it will not break even during its box office run. I also didn't care for the look of the leader. I mean, he kind of looked goofy looking. I don't know. I preferred the way the leader looked in the comics. That's another problem with current comic book-based movies. These people are deviating from the source material, and that's why a lot of them are flopping. Race swapping, gender swapping, all that stuff. Nobody wants to see that. The fans of the comic books don't want to see that. Stay true to the source material, like Spider-Man No Way Home or Deadpool and Wolverine, and you'll do the box office numbers you need to do. Well, anyway, that's my view on that movie. What do you think? Did you like the Sam Wilson Captain America Brave New World as much as the Steve Rogers, Chris Evans Captain America movies? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel, click the little bell to stay informed, and check out my Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise also in the comments section. Until next time, this is Kevin Gibbons saying, live long and prosper. May the force be with you, and keep reaching for the